Whoa, new video, crazy, right? So like a year ago, I made a video regarding a certain musician, which got me kind of like, let's just say I put it on my resume now. I got over 300 subscribers. Thanks, by the way. I got 80,000 views on that video and a lot of comments. Shortly after that video uploaded, I also make another video about Joji, about ranking his albums, but I never really got to it. And then when that video blew up, I was like, oh, now I have to do it. I'm gonna pretty much just rank his albums from what I think is the best to what I think is the least best. Not gonna say any of them are bad, because I do like all of them. It's just I'm gonna have to like rank. You know how a ranking works. Why am I gonna explain? And some things to keep note of before we go forward. I don't have a script, so a lot of it's gonna be from my noggin, which is not gonna turn out good. And I'm not gonna include Chloe Burbank because there's a lot of like interpretations of it, and there's only like 2 official songs under it. I'm talking about the strictly album, like the actual albums, because it's an album review. Okay, to start. So I'm gonna start off with what I think is the best album, which is, it's hard to say what's your favorite album, especially when there's only like 3 albums to choose from. The album I think is the best one is In Tongues Deluxe, because In Tongues Regular is just an EP. Technically, In Tongues Deluxe is an album, so I'm gonna count that as my favorite Joji album. And now before people start like coming at me saying that I'm wrong, hear me out. Fuck, it's hot. In Tongues, preferably the first one, the shorter one, the EP, I think Down is the best project solely because of the length and the theme. Because with Ballad 1 and Nectar, while they have some songs that I consider better than songs on In Tongues is short, sweet, to the point, or it's not really sweet, it's pretty dark, but it's to the point, it's over before it stays, it's welcome, and that's the reason why I think it's the best one. Plus, because there's so little songs, there's not really a lot of competition in between them, like In Tongues, I think it's short enough where if you find a song that you like, you really like that song, because there's so little of them and they're all so diverse, each one stands out and so unique. Plus, it's a little biased, like I first heard In Tongues, that was the first album that I heard from Joji because it was the only album from Joji, and so I had a lot of time to listen to the album. I heard a lot of Demons, a lot of Windows. I think is my favorite song from that album. In Tongues is a lot more short, a lot more in depth, and it's a lot more, I guess, fleshed out in a way. You know what I mean? Because you could argue that Ballads 1 and Nectar have better songs and they're better produced and they have bigger hits. But there's a lot of problems with those 2 albums that I think hold it down then bring it up. And while Nectar and Ballads 1 are really, really good albums, some of my favorite albums, there's problems that they have that I have to like hold them accountable for. And the problems that those albums have, In Tongues doesn't have. I know it's because it's short and it's just like, it's pretty much a transition from like Joji's style of like making Chloe Burbank to making something more darkish. It might be an unpopular opinion, and if it is, whoops. Too Long Didn't Read, I think In Tongues is his best project. If you want to count the deluxe one, if you want to count the first one, the original one, either one works for me. Because it's short, to the point, it has a theme that it follows throughout. Because if you listen to like Nectar and Ballads 1, there's a lot of changes in the sound and tonality of those albums that it kind of gets, you're kind of like thrown around every now and then with the songs. And like you have a song like Slow Dancing in the Dark, and then you get hit with like No More Fun. Where'd that come from? But I'm going ahead of myself. There's not a lot I had to say about In Tongues, and that's because it's a pretty solid project. If you're a Joji fan and you haven't heard that album or that EP, listen to it. It's actually really, really good. There's some flaws in there, some early flaws, like I think the mixing was really washed out. He did this thing where he put his vocals like in between the production, like the beats and stuff, so it sounds very wavy, very washy, but I think that just kind of goes to the appeal of it. Like it's a really weird sounding, unique sounding album, project, EP, whatever. Now I think his second best project, personally, And I think this is like the part where it does get like heated because there's only 2 albums left. I think personally, Nectar is his second best album. Personally, it's my least favorite album, but I have to say that it's probably the second best that he made. The reason I think Nectar is better than Ballads 1 is simply because Nectar is a lot more higher, what's it called? I think Nectar is the second best album strictly because it has better, I just had the word and I forgot it, better fucking, what's that word? Quality. I think Nectar has a better quality over Ballads 1 because it's not an album that he solely produced. A lot of his old stuff he produced himself, but Nectar has a lot of like help from other producers, and I think that's why it sounds better. It's a lot more rhythmic than like Ballads 1 and In Tongues, but because of how it sounds, the production of it, it's very simple. It's not like complicated. It's not something that you have to like spend a week in FL Studio to learn. You could probably learn like in a few days, and because of how simple it is, that's why I can't say it's his best album, nor can I say it's his worst album. Nectar and Ballads 1 are like neck and neck for me because while Nectar doesn't have the hits that Ballads 1 had, it sounds a lot better than Ballads 1, in my opinion at least. I mean, it did have some good singles. I loved Run when it came out. I loved Gimme Love. I love, no pun intended. The one with Diplo as well. What's the one where Sanctuary is a really good one. And one of my favorite Joji songs is in that album, Afterthought. It's a good album with its flaws, and the flaw is pretty big because throughout your first listen of this album, you're gonna get bored of it. Because trust me, I got bored of it, and I'm like a huge fan of Joji, so that's saying something. But it's because all these beats sound the same. Maybe not all the songs sound the same, but there's beats in there that's just kind of mixed in together, and they just don't come out good. Like, it doesn't come out unique enough for me to like for it to stand out. I love TikTok because it sounds a lot more different than the other songs, but I couldn't name me any other songs. I can name you the singles from Ballads 1, and I can name you almost every single song from In Tongues because like what I praised In Tongues for, it had songs that were so diverse. Nectar doesn't have that diversity that In Tongues has, but it doesn't sound like shit like Ballads 1, the majority of the album at least. That's the only reason why it has a leg up over Ballads 1 is simply because even though it's repetitive and it's just repetitive, it doesn't sound as weird as Ballads 1. Ballads 1 is an album I hold close to my heart. It's personally, I think it's a good album. Asterisk. While it was coming out, they had singles like Slow Dancing in the Dark, Yeah Right. I think Yeah Right was the first one to come out, and immediately it got my attention. It was very dark. Watch the video, it's very like nasty, very dirty. You know, Joji, he put on weight to, you know, be in that video. Like, he was trying to, the message got across that it was a very dirty sounding, very dirty feeling song. Dancing in the Dark was like a hit. I think it's his hit, like his biggest hit. I mean, it was everywhere. Everyone heard that song and everyone loved it because it was a really good song. And then you had Can't Get Over You, which, no joke, one time I woke up early for school, and since I didn't want to get up from bed, I decided to put that song and that song only until I usually got up for school, and that was 2 hours. So I heard the song for 2 hours, and it changes someone, you know. If I'm complimenting and loving this album, why did I rank it as the least? Because after Test Drive, after I was about to say Come If You Get Lost, after Test Drive, after Slow Dancing in the Dark, after Can't Get Over You, after Yeah Right, it loses steam. There's that one chunk of those singles were all in one chunk in the beginning of the album, and that's where I think the peak of the album is. After that, it's sort of just like weird. I think the biggest fault of this album is that it was too experimental, and as everyone knows, experimental does not mean good. Experimental could be good, and there's a lot of good experimental albums. I mentioned one before, Igor. As experimental as it was, and as weird and crazy and hectic as it could be, in the end of it, it was still a solid album. These songs are still songs you could hear over and over and over again and not really get like it didn't sacrifice anything to be called weird or experimental. It was just weird and experimental, but it was still a good album. with Joji, I feel like he sacrificed a lot of the quality of his music to be experimental. So like after like the first listen of that album, I was kind of like weirded out. It threw me a curveball. I was, what the fuck? Because like I said, all these singles, and there's for the music video of Peach Fuzz with 88 Rising, in the end it was showing Joji in like this very dark, creepy looking room. So I thought, oh hey, this album's gonna be a very dark, maybe not creepy, but a very dark album. And that was sort of like the thing that I was hoping, or that's what I was hoping that he would lean towards. Something more like In Tongues, where it was very bitter, it was very cold, it was very blunt, yet it was still beautiful. You know, yeah, right, as dirty and nasty as it is, it's still a beautiful song, it's still a beautiful video. Same for I will say Call Me Get Lost Again. Same for So Dancing in the Dark. It's, you know, these songs that are like in the heart of it, dark, sad, melancholic. I think melancholic is the best word for it. It's very melancholic. And to go from that and then do a 180 and have No More Fun, to have Why Am I Still in LA, which are not bad songs, it's just that's not what I want. That's not what I was expecting. Like, that's a curveball. So now this is the part where I'm gonna talk about both Ballads 1 and Nectar side by side, because that way I feel like you'll get my picture more clearly, right, on why I think one is better than the other way. So anyways, Nectar's biggest fault, for me at least, was that it was the deluxe version of the album when it shouldn't have been. There was so much fat in the album. I know there was so much fat in the album that could have been taken away. There's some songs in there that could have been yanked out and everything would have been fixed. It would have been a really good album, but because the fat was still in there, that's why it wasn't as good as it could have been. With Ballads 1, I think the reason that album was the worst or the least best was strictly because it was not good. Fuck, I don't want to say it. Cause it is a good album. It has some good songs in there, but to say like every single song is fucking great, to say every single song was a fucking masterpiece and it was a really fucking holy shit, it was a trip, dude. No, it wasn't. It was someone left the amp on in the studio and he kept it in the song. That's what it was. Pretty much to summarize, In Tongues I think is his best project because he knew what he was doing the whole album, EP, project. Let's say project. He knew what he was doing the whole project. He didn't lose the theme of it, the theme of like breakup and feeling sad afterwards. It was short to the point. It follows the same theme. It's a nice transition. It's a beautiful transition from like the Chloe Bermack era to what Joji will be doing in like Ballads 1, which was the album that came out after In Tongues. I know my stuff. Nectar I think is his second best album because it's quality wise the best. The only reason why I don't think it's the best it could have been is strictly because there's so much filler in that album. So many songs that could have been left to like a deluxe version, the master edition, you know, the deluxe, yeah, that's what it's called, deluxe, right? It couldn't overtake In Tongues, but it's a lot better than Ballads 1. Ballads 1 I think is the least best one because it was a curveball and it was not what at least I was expecting, you know. There's some good songs in there. There's Wanted You, there's XNXX, don't look it up on Google, kids. I liked Why Am I Still in LA. I like those kind of experimental songs. It's just choose a theme, choose a category, choose what you want to do. Don't change it halfway through the album and pretend like nothing happened. Holy shit, this is how it was the whole time. It wasn't like that the whole time. You lied to me. I feel like I'm doing a video now, but like Ballads 1, why Ballads 1 is actually pretty bad. No, but in the end of the day, I do love Joji. I like all his projects. I wish I didn't rank them. Right now, like, there was a part when I was like recording this video thinking like, should I rank or should I just do like a tier list, like, you know, A, B, C. But I love Joji. He means the world to me. I heard him through, you know, Chloe Burbank, to In Tongues, Nectar, and of course Ballads 1. Pretty much, I'm a big Joji fan. You know, there's other people like Tyler the Creator and Gorillaz that I hold dear and near to my heart. Especially, I love Gorillaz, but I love Joji to a point where it's sort of like nostalgic to me. Chloe Burbank, In Tongues is, even Ballads 1 is very nostalgic to me. So like, it's weird. Sorry, I'm gonna get sentimental at this point. That Joji video I made last year was a video I've been wanting to make for a very long time, and I know if you go to the channel, the first video here will be Rayman Origins. I still like that video. But that wasn't my first like video, you know what I mean. Like, before that video I was doing other videos, and in between those other videos I was thinking about making a Joji video, and I always want to talk about him, but I didn't know what I want to talk about. And Chloe Burbank was close to me. I loved that mixtape. I loved those songs on it, so I thought maybe I'll make a video about that, and I never did, thankfully. And thankfully I waited till I got at least a little bit better on editing. My editing is still pretty bad, but I was confident enough to take it on and to get like so many views and so many comments. Most of them correcting me because there's a lot of shit I got wrong in that video, but just the fact that people took the time out of their day to watch my videos, catch the parts where I fucked up, and be able to say, hey, you messed up in these parts, I'm thankful, I guess. I don't know how to say. And so going forward, I do want to say, like, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, consider liking the video, consider watching my other ones. Here's some of my favorite ones. I'll put up like in one of those boxes above. But I do plan on coming back and like uploading it as frequently as I can. Hopefully that means every week. Hopefully it means every 3 times a month. Who knows? I'm not a sidekick. I wish I was. Yeah, I mean, I owe a lot of things to Joji for making music and, for getting me through stuff. Also, thank you guys for watching this video and for subscribing, for leaving comments, for, giving thumbs up, just for taking like at least 2 seconds out of your day to be like, oh, I'm watching this video. Oh, shit, never mind. Like, that still means something to me because at least you thought about watching my video. So yeah, again, thanks for watching the video. I hope you consider subscribing. I hope you agree with me, and if you don't agree with me, tell me below what you would rank them as, because I really do want to hear what people think. If people agree with me and like simplicity is better than complexity, or if I'm wrong for that, and the more complex it is, the better it is. I don't know, but I do want to hear what you guys are saying. I do want to hear what you guys think. So for real, let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching my video. See you next time. Just keep an eye out.